everyone for coming again. I've got some. Everybody's been to these meetings before, I think. Yeah. Just not one. Okay. So I'll do a little intro, and then we can just we can talk. So I mean, this is a bit of a strange. It's difficult to talk about this because it's already everything. This is already everything. All there is what is. All there is immediacy. That's the wonder. That's the wonder. That's the aliveness or the newness or the energy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I said there'll be a few stragglers.
No problem. That's fine. So let's just wait a couple of seconds. Just get somebody in. Yeah, I think that's share. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Imran will be coming.
He
He generally comes more or less on time or late, slightly late.
And Michael?
Yeah, he wouldn't. Those two are together. They've stayed together last night.
You made it. You sort out your videos.
Yeah.
So all there is this. People coming in and out. Disruptions to travel and all kinds of stuff going on. Carpets, walls, different coloured clothes. That's what's happening. That's what seems to be happening. And there isn't anything else. It's just that. And there's something incredible about that there doesn't need to be anything else. That there doesn't need to be anything added. There can just be what is. And all we're going to talk about here is around that. That there doesn't need to be anything. That there isn't. That all of the striving and the trying and the attempting to get somewhere is just absolutely and utterly ridiculous, and something that is just completely natural for the sense of contraction that we describe or call the me or the me state. So we're just going to talk about that, and this is a free conversation. You don't need to hold back in any way. You can say whatever you want here. There's no judgment or any kind of critical sense of anything that's going on, because there isn't anyone. There's nobody in this room. There's no person, no people, no individuals in this room. There's bodies of energy. Some of those bodies of energy have got a sense of being me, and sometimes there isn't that. Sometimes there's just boundlessness. So, yeah, we can talk about anything here. Or not.
So to be ambitious, there has to be a contraction.
Yes, in a certain way of describing ambitiousness, yeah. Ambition sort of falls away with this. There's a sort of, the me is very invested in goals and getting somewhere and that sort of thing, because it believes that, the grass is greener over there, so it's always trying to go somewhere, apparently, But it's obviously, I know, of course, there's a sort of sense that it's not going to find what it wants before it even starts going somewhere. So yeah, ambition doesn't seem to happen here. But having said that, there's also a sort of quality of energetic sort of like if you like playing sports, or you like doing something active or whatever it is, there can be this kind of real enjoyment or energy associated with that the challenge and a sort of natural exuberance that goes towards a kind of how do you put that, sort of natural competition. Yeah, natural. It's a natural thing, completely natural. But that's got nothing to do with ambition. Interestingly, there's no, in a certain sense, there's no real thinking about winning. There's just actually what is, and the vibrance of what is that's just going on. There's it's like lions, fighting, if you like. Yeah. There's no ambition. Lions don't have any ambition. They just express it. It's just expression. Hi Simon. How are you doing?
Just had exercise.
Yes, I heard. I'm sorry about you. Yeah.
I had to get my lucky top free flight stay when I got there.
Okay. Yeah.
But okay. Last time I talked to you, and then I also asked Tony, right? And then he said sightseeing, like traveling, sightseeing is kind of like distraction. Right?
Yeah, it can be.
So is it really distraction, or it's not really distraction, is it? I mean,
it can be. I mean, it's in a way it can be. What's happening is that there's just traveling and seeing things.
But I mean, traveling and seeing things is still what is happening, right?
It's still what's happening, yeah.
So there's no one doing it.
No.
So it won't be a distraction to, like, what is already like.
Well, I mean, it can be. In a certain sense, it's if you think of like travel as in a way, it can turn into a kind of seeking. It can turn into. I mean, that's what. In a way, everything people do is sort of travelling. It's getting to the next thing. The next thing, I'm going to find what I'm looking for. But there, you don't ever find what you're looking for. So it's in a certain sense, it depends how that travelling, what's going on with that travelling. Essentially, there's no. It's funny that there is no travelling there's just what is.
But I mean, if you say distraction, then it is distraction of something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that something may be like to me, maybe it's the falling of the me, or
Yeah, the contraction.
you know.
Yeah.
So if you don't do sightseeing, then maybe
It feel yes, it's a way of kind of a feeling that you're avoiding that sort of sense of contraction. It magnifies when there isn't a movement, perhaps. I don't know if that's what you're saying.
I don't know. I think it's seeking, but it's seeking seeking in traveling rather
Right.
than
Yeah.
seeking in non-duality.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, there's all for me there can be seeking in non-duality, and then if they're not seeking in non-duality, you're seeking out there by travelling. So it's both seeking actually. It's both the same thing. The me doesn't do anything else except seek. That me and seeking are the same thing. It just all there is that sense of contraction. It just does. There's just contraction. That's all it does. It's all. It's got nothing to do with anybody. That it's just what seems to be happening.
Yeah, I find every morning when I wake up, there's this like no me, like not a me
Okay.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then every morning it's like that now. Like even coming down to King's Cross, it's like I don't know how to describe. It's like not real.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is not real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's still some sense of a me popping up.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the evenings. I don't know why. Like.
Okay.
Yeah. Evenings are. I think maybe is gradually stronger in the evening, then sleep, and then next morning
Mm-hmm.
it's like no one there, and then yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on there, unless, but that me can fall away in different. There's a possibility that me can just completely fall away. Yeah. Sometimes it seems that there's certain people where there's a coming and going of that in a way. But yeah.
But if everything is what is, then me coming here or me coming to visit the cathedral is the same.
It's the same.
What is?
Yeah.
So there's no distraction
No.
of
No.
because there's already no one doing
Right.
this or this.
Right. Yeah. There's no one. So there's nowhere that's going to be better for you to be than somewhere else.
But then how come Tony says a distraction or you say it's a distraction?
I don't know what Tony. I mean, I don't know exactly the context that Tony was talking about that. So if he was, I mean, there's a lot of ways that people that there's that sense of tension or contraction, and there's many ways that the me state will reach for something which is going to make that feel a little bit better. And so perhaps it can be travelling, other people it can be alcohol or whatever. There's always it's always sort of reaching for something, and normally that's a sort of somehow it's sort of cathartically or in some way softens that tension for a period of time. And yours can perhaps is associated with that sort of travelling process and being interested in moving or something like that. So yeah, it is a distraction, but a completely natural. It's also completely natural. That the body wants to feel less tense. So there's just a way of it finds ways of doing that. But nobody's doing any of that. That's just what seems to be happening.
So it's not like distraction in the...
It's not bad. It's not saying that distraction is somehow, you're distracting yourself. You should be focusing on this. Yeah. So there's a sense there that there's a sort of judgment involved in that. I think that you're saying
previously, in the spiritual circle, you're supposed to meditate.
Right.
And not go outside to play around.
Right. Well, no, I mean, it doesn't matter that you can do whatever that can go and wherever you want to go. You can try to distract yourself as much as you possibly can, and if this is going to fall away, it's going to fall away no matter what. It's got nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. What is expressed here?
Me is resisting. Me wants to exist.
Well, me believes it exists. There's a sense of there's a sense of contraction there. Actually, that's all. It's just a sense of contraction. There isn't anything else. There's a sense of contraction, but me equates that to existence. I am. Because I'm contracted, because there's a contraction, it's something like that. Yeah, sure.
So that the ephemeral me is just whatever it might be doing at that moment, like if it's seeking. So it's not like there's anything behind it. It's just that the seeking.
It's just a seeking mechanism, if you like.
Or if there's a resistance to something, then the me. Then it's not like there's this thing me, or
no.
There's just what's happening at that moment,
Yeah.
which might be resistance or seeking or.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is just what seems to be happening.
Yeah. Just because I heard you say, when, what that seeking, that is the me.
Yes. Well, you can't separate the. It's just. I mean, we describe this as me. I prefer to call it the me state, because it's a state of energy.
Yeah.
It's not actually a real thing, an entity called me.
No.
So as a point of when we're talking about seeking is a kind of energy. So it's the same thing.
Oh, okay, right.
It's just energy doing that thing that it does. I'm going to hold on to that.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Sticky. It's a very sticky energy.
Just like resistance might be another form of energy.
Yeah. It is in a certain sense resistance to what is. It's a resistance to what is. All the similar expressions.
Yeah, but there's nothing really there. There's nothing to understand.
There's everything there's nothing to understand.
No.
There's nothing. There is nothing.
Right.
Just there's the me, the contraction of the me state is the thing that believes there's something.
Yeah.
To get. There's nothing.
Yeah. And there's nothing there.
There's nothing.
There's nothing there.
No, and there's nothing there.
Yeah. No.
It's just that when you tell me there's nothing there, it kind of goes, yes, there is. I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion. That's the sort of this sort of dreamlike state or fever state of me,
Yeah.
It's like a fever.
Yeah.
It's a hallucination.
Yeah. And there's not a here and a there.
No, there you go, exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what is hallucinating?
Well, there's just the energy of hallucination, the energy of illusion, the energy of hallucination. There doesn't have to be any one hallucinating. Yeah.
Because it feels like
Somebody's.
there
Yeah.
is
Oh.
something watching.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so then, logically, I'm like, oh yeah, so I'm hallucinating, but then I'm still an I. Who's
Well,
the
no,
I?
the hallucination is me.
Is the me state?
Is
or,
the me
or
state.
is the me?
Is the me? Well, the me state is the me. It's the same, and the hallucination is the me state. They're all the same. The whole of it is a hallucination. It is a dream or nightmare or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
But then that still suggests that there's something aware of that,
Why?
because it feels like that.
Yeah. But from me, of course, it will do. Yeah. It will, because me always sees everything as a subject and object.
Okay.
So this is the end of that subject and object.
Yeah.
Then there's no possibility of there being someone viewing it from somewhere, an observer essentially. An observer is always subject object. Yeah. That's the thing about awareness or consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing.
That's the trip up,
Yeah.
really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all part of the same dream. Yeah.
You said yesterday that there was no real possibility of the me coming, the state coming back for you. And I was wondering how you could say that.
Well, because there is no one. So, I mean, there's no one. The me is always worried about that point.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what the me is concerned about. If this falls away, then maybe it will come back again. This contraction will come back. That is something that the me is all involved in.
Okay.
It wants a permanent fix.
Yeah.
So it still wants something. This is the end of that whole.
Yeah.
Questioning, all of those questions just go. So there's no questioning about is
Will
this
it
going to come back?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because about several years ago, I had I don't even know what it was, but I'm going to call it experience because that's what
Yeah.
the only word I can
Yeah.
think of there being no me.
Yes. Yes.
It fell away completely.
Right.
And my mind was very, very still and not taken up with stuff.
Yeah.
Had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Suddenly seemed to come,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very, very straightforward
Yeah.
and simple.
Yeah.
And there was a sort of sense of, oh
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Relief.
And then on day 3, I woke up and, oh shit, because I was back again. Now I don't understand what that was.
I mean, I don't understand. There's nothing here that understands. that, or why, you know, why contraction seems to fall away, and then do that again.
Yeah.
But it seems to be with some people that is the case. But I kind of get a sense that when there is a falling away of this, that it's that there is a sort of end. There's an end that where that can't, there's nothing there to kind of restructure itself into contraction again. It's just there's nothing there to there's no story anymore.
Right. I think I've understood for the first time actually. I think the me state was still there, watching to see whether it was going to come back again, as it were.
That's the kind of trick, you know, or trap, you know, of the me, the nature of me is just that it's always on that observer, you know, just looking around, you know, trying to look around the corner, or you know, it's always, you know, got its hook in, so you know, until it doesn't, and then it's not there.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
But the me can turn the not me experience into an achievement or
The me can turn not. Yeah, I see. You can claim a glimpse. Yes, it can. It does. That's it.
It's a trophy. It's a.
Yes, yes, in a way, but it's a sort of, it's a booby prize, really, because it's not. It doesn't. You know, it claims something. It's claimed I experienced a glimpse, but actually a glimpse is just timelessness. There's no me in a glimpse.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't claim it. Well, it does try. It does. It claims that in the story.
Mm-hmm.
There's a claim when that me seems to contract again. And is then in the story it claims that glimpse, that moment, as part of its story.
Yeah.
I had a glimpse.
Yeah.
No, nobody has a glimpse. Yeah.
Last time when I talked with you in Tony's place, you said you had not experienced being and being before.
I didn't have that so much, no.
But you said you had periods of absence, right?
Well, after this seemed to fall away, I recognised that there were these moments but I wouldn't have recognised them as being glimpses before. Yeah. It was only really when this fell away that there was, okay. There seemed to have been moments where there was no one, and I just didn't recognise them as that. Yeah. Because this is so utterly simple. This is absolutely obvious. I mean, obvious isn't a funny word because it's like it's almost that there's a kind. This is obvious for no one, you know. But it's not. It's what is. It's not anything special, or you know. But it is a wonder that all there is this. It's that. Yeah. It's the absence of seeking. It's the absence of looking. It's a remembering of the child. So this is, everybody knows this.
I don't have big glimpses. Well, I just had a big glimpse last week or something during a ghost tour.
Okay.
And then afterwards, everything dropped, and then now I know what immediacy is like.
Okay.
Like there's no one.
Okay. Well, you don't know what immediacy is like, and nobody really does know what immediacy is like. But I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like hands moving. The plate of spare ribs is exactly as it is.
Yeah.
Those water bottles, cups, glasses, exactly as it is.
Yes. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But just there's nothing added. You know.
Is alive. Everything's alive.
Mm-hmm.
People walking by. And sounds coming, going. Yeah. I have every morning when I wake up, it's like that, and then gradually comes back down to the morning energy, and then sleep, and then next day is the same, and like that.
Yeah.
Not a big glimpse. Oh wow, no. Used to have those wows, but now it's like merged together, the whole thing.
Okay.
Like wake up, moving, nobody's moving. The sky is not the real sky, you know. Something up in the air. I don't know how. Yeah. But there's still some, I don't know, like when I always talk to myself and I equate that to be me. I don't know actually what is a me, you know. But talk to yourself like, oh, what should I do now? Oh.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that sort of self-inquiry just sort of falls away.
Yeah,
because self-inquiry is again a sort of seeking, you know, a sort of seeking for there being, you know, is there someone here or is there not anybody here? You know, well, who is asking that? You know, there's something that's asking that. So that's the tension in us is the seeking. It's this, the seeking is trying to find. So that tension just falls away. That observing of things just falls away.
Yeah, there are actually tricks like when I'm seeing, like sensing the immediacy, like all around, and then there's this okay, okay, try to get a me, try to be a me, you know. Try to be a me, try to contract your energy.
That all of that is still part of the dream. You know, that's all part of the me in a way, being involved in what is. It's all part of that. Yeah. There's it's just what seems to be happening. It's not anything. There's nothing bad or good, and it's nobody's fault. There's no fault in any of this at all. It's not like, oh, you know, I fucked it up. You know, that how is that possible? Absolutely impossible. So, yeah.
You can't fuck this up.
No, you can't. Because there is no one to fuck it up. Yeah.
Like no doing or trying or control or make things happen, so you cannot fuck it up.
Yeah. I think that the me is in this sort of constant, well, a lot of me's, not all me's, but there's a lot of me's around that is in a kind of that energy of in a certain sense being a victim, being victimised, you know, and feeling that they are responsible and that they are to blame, you know, and they have to sort themselves out. Yeah.
I used to have that thinking when I was in spiritual thing. You do the practice. You try to make the best of your practice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's interesting what Simon was saying about the morning and the evening, because I feel a similar thing. In the evenings tend to be much more kind of like there's much more discomfort and kind of like dis-ease than in the mornings. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the me state is not a constant state. So it fluctuates in its intensity, and also in deep sleep it's not there. So this is the thing. I mean, me is not any kind of absolute anything.
Yeah. So it feels, you know, for me anyway, it feels like a lot of it's trying to avoid that discomfort in the, you know, later.
Oh, in the evening, yeah. I see. Yeah, I see. Yeah, avoid it. I mean, hard to avoid.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it is.
What is quite, yeah. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And just going back to what you were saying about the me, some me's being a victim, or isn't there some association of victimhood with all me's?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because it's a sense of deficiency. Yeah, it's a sense that something is broken. I am here. Everything is there. So there's a gap. That's the sense of it. That there's a gap.
Yeah.
And so so somehow there's this feeling of, well, how do I merge with everything? Well, you never do. There is never a point where there's where that it's just something falls away, and then all there is everything.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just seeking or not.
And in a way, what that sense of wanting to merge with everything is kind of like always present.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What a bugger.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about the word you used, avoidance of something, and I don't know whether I necessarily like that particular avoidance. I think that there is the body gets tense, and then there's a reaching towards something which is what is really going to relieve that tension.
Yeah.
The me state feels contracted and wants to relieve. There's a desire to release that tension somehow. So I don't see necessarily that you wouldn't know what to avoid. It's trying to avoid itself. So you wouldn't have a knowing of how to avoid that. It is just it's just what's happening.
Would distraction be a better word?
Distraction, yeah, it's better, but distraction in another way is again sort of attempting to find ease.
Yeah.
It's attempting to find something, a more of an easier feeling, a more of a relaxed feeling.
So
there is, I mean, all there is what is. So the me can't ever, it's trapped.
So there's not something that it's just that it wants to just. You're saying there's nothing there for it to be distracted from.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just itself that it wants to be, and if it does something, itself is going to be involved in it. So it is trying to avoid itself.
Okay.
It's like a loop going around like this.
Yeah.
Totally,
But it's like a very physical discomfort.
Exactly.
Physical discomfort.
There's physical discomfort. Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes there's a tension.
Yeah.
How can I relieve that tension?
Yeah.
It's a relief, a movement towards something that's going to, for a short period, be relieving of that tension.
So there's nothing it can really do.
Nothing it can do at all.
But you can't accept it either.
No, of course no. It's completely natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and go, I'm just going to accept this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So if there's no conflict, I would die.
If there's no conflict, there's no conflict, the I would die, is what you're saying. Well, no, because conflict seems to happen in the world. This is not the end of conflict. Conflict is completely natural. Like, I mean, you know, it's just energy rubbing up against each other, friction. You know, when you see, you know, territorial, you know, things in nature, or you know, it's just friction, energetic friction that seems to be happening. Two bodies of energy rubbing up against each other, it creates heat. You know, that's it. So it's yeah. That's conflict. But is that what you mean by, or?
Well, where I work, there's conflicts.
Yeah.
And I take part and all that.
But it's completely natural that there's you know, some bodies of energy will be attracted or repelled by other bodies of energy. So what, in a way, you know?
But my participation in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there isn't really anyone there to participate, but you might feel that there is someone that's participating. Yeah, there isn't.
The only illusion is that there's someone there.
That there, I in a way, it's, you could say that I am real. You know, there's a me, and there's a realness, a sense that I is real and separate from everything.
In the me state, there's me, and then like I'm this body, and I'm doing all this, and all this, but so it's a sense, but then actually already hands will move like this, and I will talk like this, but actually there's no one, but then there's a sense of someone, so that's the illusion of a sense of someone.
As soon as there's a sense of someone, time starts. So this is the end of time. That's another way of saying it. So realness is time as well. There's only an existence of me in time. All there is this immediacy. There's no time. There's no time for me. There's no time for a me. There's no time for. There's no time for it.
So everything is already happening, but I thought there's a me.
Everything is apparently happening. It's apparently happening.
Apparently
happening because it's happening is again in time. So it seems to be happening. Yeah.
But the illusion is that there's a me in it, inside the apparent movement of things.
The apparently parts, or there's, as soon as there's a me involved in it, the apparently drops out because when the me's involved, there's time, real time. I'm real. There's real time. There's a real story of me, and everything else is reality. You know. So it's all to do with that. That's fundamental thing of there being a sense of a real me, or that there is a moment of time you know, that where I begin, I exist.
I mean, when I'm talking now, when there's a me there will be I'm talking rather than just talking happens by itself.
Yeah.
Or hand movement, it happens by itself.
Yeah, there's no one doing any of that.
Yeah.
No,
so
no
the
one
illusion is the me, and the illusion is that there's a me here.
Yeah.
But this illusion had been happening for a long time, so
Well, it seems to be,
from birth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there isn't a birth. That's a story that you were born. That's a story, isn't it? I mean, clearly, it's a story. You know, all there is what is.
It's kind of hard when I equate myself as this, me as this.
Sure.
Then I don't know.
Well, you don't do that, but there's a sense of contraction there, and that sense of contraction totally rejects what is being expressed here. There's nothing wrong with that. It will naturally reject that because it doesn't compute in the world of that me bubble. Doesn't compute that there is no me, you know, or that there is no that there's nothing that's real.
When you say those things, when you talk about those things, like, I don't know, I have to think about it. It's not in a natural stage. Oh, there's no me.
No. Well, that's the me does try to take what is being expressed and think about it and try to form that into a solution, into a formula that it can use to get out of its predicament, its sense of contraction. It's looking for a way out, so looking for a resolution. But there isn't a resolution. There's just what is. The energy for that seeking just falls away. All we're talking about is the energy for seeking, the energy of contraction just melts.
But sometimes it melts, sometimes it doesn't melt.
There's no rules. Yeah? There's no rules.
Tell it like it is, Simon. It's interesting how just different words, and like when you say all it is what is, and there's just what seems to be happening.
Yeah.
Just completely flat. It's flat.
Yeah.
When it's here, like it's just like what even is that trying to point? It's just flat.
It's flat. Yeah.
But when you speak about the immediacy of the appearance, it's so energetic.
Okay, yeah.
so energetic. Like it's,
Yeah, different words.
you can
right?
just sort of,
Yeah.
when you say it, all of it, like, what is it? What even does that mean? You know, it's just like, what even does that mean? What's that even?
Yeah,
All it is what it is.
yeah.
There's no energy. It's the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's very sort of neutral, isn't it?
Mm.
There's no, yeah, no pointing anywhere,
Mm.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you said it, I was going, what even does that mean? Like, what's that? Yeah.
Totally. No. Well, there's nothing that means anything, you know, in the, you know, what we're describing here.
Mm.
So it's just, you know, it's completely meaningless. And I mean, that's the wonderful nature of it in a way, because if it had meaning and you could know it, or whatever it was, then it would just be part of this story. You know, it would just be in a story. But this is not in a story anymore. So, you know, when stuff is out of the story, it's meaningless. Stories have meaning and purpose to them, and they're on a journey somewhere.
You said stories have meaning and purpose. And the story maker, I think, has no option but to put everything into that meaning and purpose box. So that the me tries to
Well,
anything, this message, anything.
me is story.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The same. Yeah.
And the me might hear some sort of esoteric type message and try and keep it separate from application or
Which is
something.
another story.
I know.
Yeah. It's a sort of adjunctive story.
It's always story.
Yeah. One story going into another story and another story. It's like the Bible
Yeah.
with a Beano mag inside it.
You've just You've just obliterated a whole race, the Irish. Stories.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, stories can just be stories, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have to do. They can just be stories told for the, you know,
Entertainment.
and to, yeah, or whatever. They can be sad stories or you know, whatever kind of stories it is. But it is empty of realness, of power. Stories seem to have a lot of power. You know, I mean, can you imagine if all the stories in the seeming world dropped out? There wouldn't be a lot of people trying to, you know, do protests or anything like that, and there wouldn't be a lot of other people, you know, feeling that they can run, you know, countries and things like that as well, because there's a lot of stories associated with kind of absolutely everything that is human culture, really. It's
So
based
it's
on
a story.
story.
But it's the
It's
story
true.
allied with power.
It is a seeming power. There's no power. There is no power. But there is a feeling that stories have in the dream. Stories have power. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And countries and races is all story.
Yeah.
And if one engages in a psychedelic journey, it's very interesting. That becomes story as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're sure? No, sure. I mean, very
Harness.
Yeah, it's very often there's a magnification of story in psychedelic experience. It is a magnification. In a certain sense, there's a magnification and a cathartic purging of story in psychedelic experience. It's still story, yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with the story.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
I like a good story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do as well. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
story. Mobland especially.
Yeah, Mobland.
Mobland's a great story.
Yeah, it's great.
And gossip is story.
Mm-hmm.
Gossip is storytelling. Yeah.
Gossip is storytelling.
Story.
Yeah.
Story about story.
Yeah, of course, yeah. There's so much story, and it's interesting that that's where there's a point before children become interested in stories, and then they suddenly become that the complexity of the brain meets that point of me, and then stories become very important, and it's all about a lot of parents feel that providing lots of stories is a great idea because it's going to help with imagination, which is very important.
Did you mean just then, Katie, just read stories to children, or sort of just say this is our culture, this is how we do things, this is how you're meant to be in the world?
Well, that's all part of it. It's another story, but it's also it's seen that even just telling stories to children is very good for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's seen as being it's very good to charge the me with various different things to think about.
Yeah.
Reinforce.
What am I going to be when I grow up, or something like that.
To be terrified of.
Yeah.
It's always these stories of, good and evil,
Yeah.
The good ones weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good and bad. They're all of them culture in a way that. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's all of that is a sort of me culture.
Yeah.
It's me culture.
But they're so nice, those children's stories, aren't they?
Well, they are, but at the same time, they're absolutely, they're extremely confirming of meanness.
They reinforce the me, don't they?
Yeah, they reinforce. I mean, not that has any effect on falling away or not. Reinforce as much as you want. It's like reinforcing a, I don't know what it's like. Reinforcing something that's born to collapse. It's a house of cards. So it's just something that is not. It's not going to be possible to reinforce. But yes, it does have that effect of the dream, a recapitulation that the dream is real. You are on a journey, a hero's journey, or whatever the hell what other kind of journey that you're on, which is a special journey that you're going to start with, and then you're going to all go around, and then you end up where you started from, and then you've done the hero's journey. you know. But it's a load of it's still a journey.
The hero's journey is that whatever it is, he goes away and gets his lessons. And
They change better than they were before.
totally, And I think there's this thing of changing the world, maybe. Like
Oh yeah.
Saving.
Saving.
Yeah, of course.
Finding your purpose sometimes. It's a lot on that as well. Finding one's purpose.
And it's all of it. The whole lot is just a complete illusion.
Has to be.
Is James Bond not real?
Fantasy.
Yes. He's been dead. Sorry, did I give that away?
Is James Bond not real?
Stop messing around.
And it's wonderful that those stories are just, that all of those stories are just not real. It's such a relief that all those stories are just bloody stories, because there's just this. And so, you know, nothing to write home about.
Nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
Yeah, no one to do it. Because what you just said about the world with one can imagine no me's. So much wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I mean,
the conflict would soften, of course. Yeah, conflict can happen.
A so-called world without me's would probably look different from what's going on. Yes, I feel that. I mean, a lot of things can just seem to carry on quite similarly, but a lot of what's going on seems to be very heavily about ambition and getting somewhere, and that would completely fall away, which of course would have a significant change to what seems to be going on.
You just said a lot of, it sometimes seems like virtually all of.
Oh yes, virtually all.
Virtually all. There's very little that isn't about that. Yeah. Timeline, future, achieving.
Yeah, well, it's a huge story. Apparently.
I'm feeling guilty now because my children used to think my stories were real.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what's happening.
Influencing their need.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's not. This isn't about guilt tripping like parents or anything like that, because it's just me in that me energy, the parents' me energy, that's what it does. It just recreates more me energy. It just there's no options. There's no choice in any of this, because no one's doing any of this. So it's just in a way a sort of passing on of that contraction. That's what seems to happen. Just a passing on of that contraction. Unwittingly, without nobody doing it. Nobody's doing it. No. It seems to be the situation of the human condition. You can't blame anyone for that.
I think some cultures and some families, it's all done. It just happens. Somehow maintain the contraction very well. They're very. The more rigid a culture is, and the more entrenched it is, and the more perhaps religious or focused on academic achievement. If children don't achieve that, then ostracization is natural. It just is a natural result.
Yeah.
So some people are really, really focused.
Well, it's
on
investment in the story. Yeah.
Investment in the story and the return.
Yeah.
I think the return.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Of course.
The return is the continuation of the story.
It seems to almost be escalating.
Yeah.
I mean, my granddaughter who's only 20 months,
Mm-hmm.
almost everything has got her name on.
Yeah. Well,
Shirt's
it's-
got her name on
yeah.
it, chair's got her name on it,
Yeah.
things got her,
Yeah.
everything.
Everything's mind. Yeah. Well, this is a world where there is a huge sort of celebration and sort of lifting up of the individual.
Mm. Mm.
Individuality. You know, this is the age of individuality. The age of the importance of the individual.
What's led to that, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, just that this constant. I mean, the constant the energy of that me. You know, keeping that me state seeming to be passing on of that me state, if you like, that contraction that seems to be going on and on and on and on. It sort of is a further and further reinforcement of the individuality, the nature of individuality. So it is that it's just a continuation.
Mm.
Just it seems to be, a continuation of that.
That's also just a story.
Yes.
That's not actually
No.
happening.
No, not at all.
So we can say that it's got worse, but that's just a
Yeah,
story.
absolutely, yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah,
And actually
there seems to be, I can't, I wouldn't be able to tell. We just imagine that it's worse. But every seeming culture that has, or generation that has gone before sees or seems to say that it would, it's the end of the world.
Right.
That how it's been going on for a long time. This is going to be the end. This is the end of the world.
They'll be
This is
right
the
in
end.
there, won't
They will be.
Maybe.
But it's what does that mean?
Exactly, yeah.
The end of the world.
The end of it.
Civilization.
But it is actually just the me expressing that I'm going to die. That me is going to die. Fuck, me is going to die. Yeah. Well,
So, coming back to the reality that the me state can't get rid of itself.
Yeah.
That even coming here,
Yeah.
like, it's equal to going to a bar.
Yeah. But I mean, you didn't come here. But there's just attraction and repulsion.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
me wanting to come to these
Right.
is a natural impulse.
Well, no, I mean, me doesn't want to come here at all. In a certain sense, me has got no interest in what is
Yeah,
expressed.
me would rather not be here.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How would you want to go to this?
Yeah. As no.
He's a bit annoyed right now.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Can believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's just magnetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the messaging is doing some good?
Oh no. Well, no. No, of course not. This is not of any use to anyone.
Oh dear.
Sense of that.
Yeah, this is completely useless. Because if it was any use, then it would be something that me could use, and then me would be able to continue the story with that.
Yeah.
It would just be fueling the fire in a way. It would be food for me. But this is a starvation of that, and ultimately, that's actually quite a rare thing in the world, if you like, because in the world everything is about that story and validating that story, increasing that energy around that.
Everything's about something.
Everything's about something, yeah.
So in the story, there's always validation,
Mm-hmm.
validating the story.
Mm-hmm.
The individual
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
validated
yeah, yeah.
further, and
Yeah.
this is nullification.
Well,
Validation, nullification.
yeah, but that also sounds like a process in a way. But this is just an empty room.
Mm.
This is an open house, like we were talking about. These open houses seem to be going on in Brighton at the moment. People, but this is what it is. It's just an openness. It's just an openness for no one. You know, there's no, and that's all that's being expressed here. It's just that. Oh, it's just all there is this. By the way. Nothing for sale.
Pointlessly hopeless.
Well, for me, there's a hopelessness probably, you know, about this. You know, there's a sort of hopelessness and a sort of sadness about that, or very often a sort of, you know, sometimes it can, you know, a feeling of like, it can be a sort of certain jealousy, you know, around that. You know, I want what that has got, something, as if they've got something, you know. Or there's a sort of feeling of desperation, irritation, you know, it can be a lot of that, you know, that kind of thing. Or there seems to be a resonance with that openness, which just can feel relaxing of all of those things I just mentioned. There can just be a sense of just, oh, I can't, you know.
And it can be all of that as well, can't it?
It can be all of that, it can go backwards and forwards, different.
And I get really angry when I come.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm surprised that it's still around.
There's not always a general range, general spontaneous range.
Yeah, it's
anything.
Oh, yeah.
And you said no one wants to come to meetings. It can actually feel really hard to get here and really hard to be here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. I remember, I do have
memories.
Yeah,
memories can happen.
Yeah, I remember that a lot. Yeah. But there was always a sense, you know, when I was listening to Tony and things like that, it was there was that there is that talking about it and the me trying to engage with this, but then there is something else which is just that. Which is just impossible to describe, but is that energetic unwinding of the quality of contraction, which is the love I had of that message, I guess.
So there is a gain in the message, the softening, the lessening.
Well, yes, but it isn't. That isn't for anybody. That cannot be claimed. That isn't for anybody. That's, in a certain sense, the antithesis of me.
It isn't.
Yeah.
I think this is what I struggle with. Is like something brings me to these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, something.
Like I'm here.
Yeah, well, not something, but anyway, yeah, okay.
So say more about that if it's not.
Well, there's not something.
It's just a happening.
It's just energy seeming to happen. There's a draw.
Yeah, it's a strong draw.
There's a strong draw. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't actually feel resistance coming either. It's just when I'm sitting here, I'm kind of like.
Yeah.
But that's just.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. It's just what seems to be happening. Yeah. It's not, but it you know, that, you know, stuff is there, and yet there's a coming.
Yet there's a huge relief as well. It's kind of, it just feels like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
and but my body, every cell of my body is like, and then, but then there's something else that just is like, oh, thank God.
So
it's more like that.
All of that seems to be happening. All of that. Yeah.
That's not enough.
Well, that's just what it is. there's relief and there's irritation almost simultaneously.
Yeah, and then in my mind I'm putting it in as two separate things having a
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I mean there is that sort of, there isn't, the only war there is me.
So the relief is probably part of the me as well.
No, the relief is the absence of seeking, the absence of there being a kind of internal battling between good and evil, between getting it right and getting it wrong. There's always these two sides, that's going on with me. Me talking to me, it's a battle. But this is outside of the battle. This is like, in war zones, animals just walk around the outside. Interesting, that.
Let's just think, what stupid idiots there.
Well, no, there's no. I mean, they don't. That's the thing. They don't even. There's just a neat energy, bang, all this stuff going on, and it's just like, oh, I'm just going to go over here. Wouldn't go that way.
Obviously.
Do you remember Johnny
Really
Morris
idiots.
when we were kids? Johnny Morris on the telly, and he used to take animals and he used to
Oh yeah. I used to love
get them
that.
telling stories, didn't he,
Yeah.
about them?
Yeah.
Like they were humans.
Yeah,
like,
well,
like
yeah, that
character
was the
traits.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. When I listened to David Attenborough, I just listened to David Attenborough without David Attenborough.
You just watch the TV.
Yeah.
Turn
That's
the
the best way to watch, those
Turn the
nature
sound.
programs. Yeah, turn the sound up.
Yeah, I did too.
Trying to humanise it.
And the music.
Turn the story
Yeah.
off.
Turn the story off. Yeah.
Mm.
Why the hell do you need somebody telling you what is just what's happening? How could anybody possibly know?
Yeah.
But somehow David Attenborough is like a world authority about what seems to be happening, which is kind of amazing. That,
It's the voice.
Just an uppercut.
Yeah.
South
American
and he's done so much. I'm not attacking David.
Sounds like you got a chip on your shoulder there, David.
I won't do that.
I quite like him actually.
If you do that with David,
You're cancelled.
And he's 99.
He is, I'm sure, a lovely man.
Right, you said it now. I'm gonna go back.
Trying to fix that. It's the moment.
That producer, yeah.
No, but it's a general point, if you like.
This is the Pope, then it's David Attenborough.
Do you not think he's going to come to a meeting then?
Getting more like Tony.
I doubt it.
David, could you imagine?
He's near enough dying at some point or another, sort of
So he's told
brutal, Catherine. You don't know that.
99. I don't know. I guess it could have another 15 years.
Exactly.
Has watching television changed now that you don't get engaged with the stories anymore?
Yeah, it's funny that. It is a bit. I mean, what I do like is actually seeing when you have like really amazing films. I don't know. Actually, I recently saw Casablanca and other films that I haven't seen for long. And there's a sort of quality of the acting or the nature of how somebody expresses in that I don't know, like a very passionate way, or dancers that have got that passionate way or whatever. That there's something about that which is quite amazing. Acting can be really like I'm sure that when some of these actors acting, that there isn't anyone there.
The good ones.
And I think that they talk about that. So I think there are some actors talk about that. I mean, I remember Daniel Day-Lewis saying something like that, and various other people, the method actors, where they literally become the role that they get. They live in that role for a few months of being that. Being another me.
It's playing the me.
Playing a me, yeah. It's funny.
It's nice.
They play a different me.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of films, all you can see is the actor.
Yes.
And you don't get lost
Yes.
because you just see the actor.
Yes.
There's there.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That's all. But yeah, what you were saying about story, just the pure story itself. If there wasn't any of that acting, it was just story. No way. No, I couldn't do that. That doesn't sort of entice this, because it's quite uniform stories. They've got a beginning, middle, and end. You know what's going to come. Have you noticed that thing that a lot of films, they all actually seem like they're the same film?
Yeah, it's the hero journey.
It's the hero journey.
It's the famous
exactly the same thing. Yeah. And sometimes they're really, sometimes they do something really clever, like kind of cutting that hero's journey in half. So that you feel like, oh, that's clever, isn't it?
Yes, it's
what a twist. They haven't completed the story. How brilliant.
He dies halfway through.
Exactly.
So clever.
There's a bloke in Brighton that is an academic. He says that there's only 6 stories actually.
Okay, fine. Well, 6, okay.
I suppose we've all only got 6 stories, really, haven't we?
Yeah.
Speak for yourself,
Well, I guess I mean, I'm sure that Shakespeare probably categorised the story. It's like tragedies and comedies and romantic. Those kind of those do follow. He probably categorised all of those. Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Greeks.
Archetypes. How many archetypes are there? Archetypes are in the story?
Yeah.
Magician.
Oh yeah. That's
another human.
Yeah.
There is an immediacy about story, isn't there? It's a come with the story immediately. I'm not relating it to non-duality, but it's like a story comes up immediately.
Yeah. I mean, people can be very spontaneous about creating.
I mean, I realised I came up with a story about Simon here.
Okay.
Taking his name in vain.
Oh, I see.
About him bringing his luggage here.
Mm.
I immediately thought, my next door neighbour, he's Chinese.
Okay.
Get him to talk to him.
Right.
And I thought, you might ask him what he's doing here. And I thought, fuck.
Well, I mean, stories just generate more
immediately.
stories. Okay, absolutely. I mean, the me is in a story, so it just can make a tangential part of that story very quickly. Yeah.
So the next door neighbour could be asking Simon, what are you doing next door? He said, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, it's possible.
But all we've got are stories, isn't it?
All that, well, the me state is a story. It's the same.
I mean, you're in a story. You're part of the story, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm part of many stories in a way, as an image or something like that. Is that what you mean?
An image, yes.
It's an image, or right, yeah. But there isn't anyone.
Yeah.
either there isn't anyone in the creating of that story, or the story itself, there isn't anyone.
That's the word history.
Yes. Yeah.
His story.
Her story.
Thank you.
That was just moves on. Chinese whisper story. You know, Chinese whisper story. It's like news, and it's completely different at one end
Right.
towards
It can change.
anything.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
just anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
She saw, I did, I said, as she said.
Yes.
Because perception is all completely individual, isn't it?
It's totally unique
What you're
to
looking at,
that
what
body.
completely.
Yes, it's a totally unique thing. But there isn't anyone perceiving.
No.
Yeah. Seems to be, but
It's like in art galleries. I don't like listening to the commentary about the art.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think,
Terrible.
the way they try to
Totally.
analyse what the artist or whatever.
And how absolutely.
And then you have documentaries where the person who's talking is what they focus on other than the picture.
Yeah.
And you can tell they're talking about the picture, but they're not looking.
No.
We can't see the picture.
No, but they don't, it's always
personality.
those exactly, and it's always that kind of thing of like the story behind the artist or whatever it is, you know.
Oh, but I like some stories.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Yeah.
Not about the painting, but the situation and the artist.
Yeah. No,
preferences.
Yeah, and the stories are fine. You know, they're just it's just not. It's not real.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Such a relief.
Well, that's the relief.
Such a relief.
That's the relief. The end of stories are a huge relief.
Yeah.
When I go to the local aquarium, they've got this majestic voice commentary all the time with classical music. And
yeah.
I want to take some here.
Yeah. But everything is about understanding. You need to understand it. Why?
Or explain.
I've got a friend, she tells me she goes to mindfulness meditation regularly, and she says the woman leading it just doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
The whole time. She doesn't stop, she just comments.
So this is well, it perfectly represents what you do. Mindfulness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fully, yes, that's right.
It should be called mindfulness anti-meditation.
But I cringe when adults are teaching children how to meditate.
Yeah,
way around.
Yeah, totally. Well, or just
Children can explain how to meditate.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's inevitable. You know, the meeing is inevitable. You know, you can that sense of contraction of meeing seems to form anyway. You know, even where there are, let's say that there's a child that doesn't have constant stories, there still can be a meeing going on and a sense of separateness, because that's what seems to happen with humans. You know, so there's not a sort of better way. You know, as a parent, you have to, not tell your children. So no, you mustn't. Don't have stories, because otherwise, your me will get too big, or will become reinforced. So you can't have any.
Probably do the opposite.
Right. I mean, it's not. There isn't any possibility of anybody doing anything with this. This is just an expression of what is. There's just immediacy.
I remember studying literature and always getting really annoyed, well not annoyed, but just questioning why they had like these great novels. It's like, well, what made a novel great? Why was it? And it seemed like it was like this historical perspective, like it could only be recognised as great after a period of time when a number of experts had come together to say this is actually a great novel.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, why does it need like a sort of verification or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, we sense that. We all sense that.
Yes.
Don't we? All the time.
Oh yeah.
We could all tell stories about.
Yeah.
But I do sense that,
Yeah.
And there it goes. And me comes in and says, no you don't. No you don't. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is completely, it's known. There's nobody in this room that doesn't know what this is.
At the risk of being glib, can there be an expression of what is?
No. No. Well, no. It's already everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite. There isn't an expression of what is. No, there isn't. Or I mean, everything is. Everything is what is. Yeah. So there isn't a specific expression of what is. So yeah. No, words always. Yeah, whichever ones you choose. Yeah.
I remember a chap, he was performing at a folk club and chatting about his music, and then he mentioned the minute silence or the 2-minute silence, you know, and then he was explaining what he was thinking about in his 2-minute silence. I was like, I thought silence was silence. I didn't realize people continued thinking about their project, or it's like it's so strong. I mean, maybe stronger in some people than others to have that buzz.
The leads, it talks, you know, creates stories all the time. It's making new directions to things, and you know, go. Well, when there isn't, there can be a lot of thinking. I think, and then when that seems to fall away, actually a lot of that reduces. A lot of that noise sort of does tend to reduce, because there's no one to talk to. There isn't anyone, you know, there's nothing, you know, there's no one to talk to in there, you know.
But maybe
so it just reduces. I mean, there can be, there's the thoughts just, you know, can keep coming up, and it can be quite busy thinking. It can be if you're, you know, you need to do something, you need to think about it, or whatever it is you want to do something, whatever. But it's not. But the nature of it isn't in story. So you're not really in a story.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's self-referential.
Yeah, I think exactly. Yeah. There's much less because there isn't one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But can it be that in some me's there's generally just quiet, there's no story going on, you know, it doesn't make any difference.
No,
there's a me, there's a me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there are meditation masters, you know, that you know, can reduce the noise of what's going on to, you know, nothing.
What about from childhood?
There's still a sense of separation.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's still
yes.
There's still a sense of separateness.
It makes no difference.
No, I mean, they sit in meditation for years and years and years.
Just greater control.
Yes, well, exactly. Yeah, it's a control of thought. That's very often seen as being a, you know, a huge accolade. You know, self-inquiry is all hugely about that. You know, in a way, just, you know, inquiring kind of like it's sort of like a exercise routine. You know, thought extermination routine. You know, in a certain sense, it's a routine. Practice makes perfect.
Like monkey mind.
Yeah, monkey mind and all of that. Yeah. If you practice hard enough, then you'll be thought free.
Yeah. Gold.
That's great.
Thought free.
Thought free.
Thought free equals free. The implication is.
That's the in a way. That's the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
There's still an observer there, like you say, to be shocked or horrified or pleased, whatever thought did appear.
Yeah.
I remember listening to this documentary about this hijack on a train, and they were all held at gunpoint, and they were all squeezed up in this carriage.
Yeah.
And apparently this guy who was narrating the story, the woman next to him got pulled away and got shot. And he said, my first thought, and he was absolutely horrified by it, was, I've got a bit more leg room now.
I mean, it's pretty.
It sounds brutal, but it's not my story.
That makes sense, doesn't it, really? Because it's a survival thing, isn't it?
Well, it's just an interesting point, because it's not what you should think.
Yes.
It's about morals. Really. Yeah. It's not what should be.
Yes.
You know, but there's no should.
The amazing thing is that he told that story.
Yes, absolutely. Very. I mean, that goes on all the time. You know, oh God, I'm not going to say anything about that.
don't you dare. Don't you dare tell.
Yeah.
I won't be talking about that at all.
Yeah.
I thought children plays instead from there. Becoming teenagers, it's like it's tell the truth games. A lot of those games.
Yeah.
Oh, those games where it's a dare to tell them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What are you going to dare?
Yeah.
Truth or dare, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. But it's all about essentially kind of the fear of being told that you're wrong, or exposed,
or being exposed.
Yeah.
As wrong, yeah.
As wrong or bad
or immoral.
Immoral, yeah. All of that. Yeah.
Immoral.
Yeah. But
It's a word, immoral. Yeah.
I've been through guilt and shame to do with work. So, they treat you like a little kid, you've been naughty, but they want to know the truth, and a sort of self-protection. You say you just miss out. You miss out some information,
Yeah.
So you still look innocent
right.
when very well something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Games.
Do you remember that awful feeling at school when somebody'd stolen something and you all ushered into the same room?
Yeah.
Somebody in this room. You'd all shit yourselves. I mean, I didn't feel it.
Well, I think you probably would.
I probably did steal it.
So I didn't have that, no.
Because I was like,
it was you. I knew exactly who it was.
So it was only me then, was it?
I had loads of that, and I was the one who did X usually.
Okay.
Or sometimes.
Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
Fun.
Tea time?
Tea time.
Yeah.